Welcome to the Arsenal show. We are live, and it's the Arsenal versus Everton preview. We've got a full house tonight, and we've got a new guest tonight. It's GTalks Arsenal. How you doing?
I'm good, I'm really, really good. Busy, tired. I worked every day this week, so juggling obviously work, family. Did 2 shows myself on our channel. So yeah, obviously countdown to Christmas as well. But yeah, I'm all good this week, man. How are you?
Good. One question I'm sure everyone's thinking is: did you do the decorations on that tree yourself?
No. That was the misses, all the misses. I can't take any credit whatsoever.
I would have 100% taken credit for that. All right, and this is my other guest, co-host Steve. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Good.
And my other co-host, Jerome Marks. How you doing, Jerome?
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Anyone still got a hangover from the Man United game? Yes. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm still hurting, struggling. Man United fans. I've got a lot of friends that are Man United fans. They keep ringing me. I don't even want to speak to them. They're not even ringing me to banter me either. I just don't want to speak to any Man United fans. It just hurts. But yeah, we move on. We've got the big game on Monday against Everton. They're in bad form, but I don't think that really means anything. First of all, GT, what's your thoughts after the Man United game? What was your feeling on that one?
I really felt like it was a game that we could have won, and we definitely should have actually got something from it. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't dreading playing one of the so-called big teams in the league. Given obviously what's been going on, because I pretty much actually had Man United as potential title contenders. Given they finished second last season, and obviously the signings of Varane, Sancho and Ronaldo, I fancied them to definitely make be part of that top 4, and I kind of thought that was out of reach. But obviously it's not transpired that way. They've been pretty bad under Ole. They've changed their manager, and I thought, this is a game we can definitely go there and have a real good goal and get something from it. And to be honest, I don't think it was one of our best performances. But when you actually kind of, obviously since the game, I've kind of reflected on it, and we just shot ourselves in the foot. Mm-hmm. We got the lead on the 13th minute. And we did what we've done, multiple times this season. We've just sat back and invited pressure. Mm-hmm. And obviously with the players that United have, defensively they've been poor, but they've always got an opportunity because they've got such an array of attacking talents. Yeah. And I think we just played into their hands, to be honest. And I think defensively we were pretty poor during the game, which is a bit of a surprise because I think defensively we have been quite sound this season. But yeah, in a whole, I just think it was a below par performance by quite a few of the squad. I don't think we managed the game very well, and we paid the price.
Yeah. It's something we have to move on from, and hopefully with some of these youngsters, they learn from that. Old Trafford's a cauldron of a place to go, and a massive learning curve for every single one of them. So hopefully they kick on and take that as a learning curve. Steve, Everton tomorrow, big game, important game. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, pretty much what you said. It's going to be a tough game every time we go to Everton. It's a tough game. I think we've done pretty well there recently, but they're a good side with good players in, and they're at the moment they're just out of form. But they've got some good players there. They've got Richarlison and they've got Digny and and a number of others, Doucouré, Allen, and they've got a few. Iwobi, Damari, Gray. He's been playing well this season, so it's going to be difficult. It's away from home, and I don't think you can, like GTalks already said there, that you can take their position. You can't take it from that at all. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it will be tough. Be interesting to see the team he puts out. After reflecting from the Man United game, I think it was probably a bit too soon, our show, straight after the game, because, I wasn't very happy, but after time to reflect, do feel a little bit different. But, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan, you have them emotions. I don't think we go over the top. Sometimes we say things that we may change a day later or two once the dust has settled. But I mean, we keep it professional. We don't get personal. We don't get abusive. So I wouldn't beat yourself too much about anything you changed your mind on. Jerome, any big changes you'd make after the Man United loss?
Any big changes? What would I do? I would like to change the centre forward, but just due to sort of lack of better options, I don't know if we are going to. I think he'll change the midfield. I don't think El Nene will play. So I think that change will certainly happen. Possibly Tierney might come back into it. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back in. Other than that, I think they would be maybe the 2/3 changes. But like Steve was saying, I just remembered watching the game. I was fuming watching it because we were so sloppy. And they're a team that have been in such bad form, probably low on confidence, like Everton are going to be. I mean, if you want to play a team low in confidence, I think one of their directors has left today. I think Everton. Obviously, a lot of the fans aren't happy with Benitez, and it's going to be like you boys have said. It's going to be a big test, but we need a win, especially with the way results have gone with the teams in and around us.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like Marcel Brands is on his way out. He's like the director of football. So I think they've been complaining a lot about some of the transfers they've been brought in, although they've had successes in the likes of Allen, Damari Gray. They bought Iwobi off of us, so for 40 million. And that's enough to get anyone the sack, let alone leaving the job. GTalks, give us your predicted lineup for tomorrow's game against Everton.
Yeah, so for me, there's no doubt Ramsdale's going to start in goal, without a shadow of a doubt. I think the back four will pretty much stay the same in terms of Tomiyasu, Ben White, Gabriel. But like Jerome said, I would bring back Tierney into the starting 11. I think we've somewhat lost sight of Tavares' role. I think the kid's done excellently well. But at the end of the day, he was brought in to deputise for Tierney. He wasn't brought in to be a first-team player, like a first starting 11 player. So he's done a brilliant job. But I just think if Tierney's fit, I think it's now time, to bring Tierney back into the side, because I think defensively he does have that edge over Tavares. So that would be one change I would make against Everton. In the midfield, anybody who watches our shows on Cannon Chatter TV will tell you I cannot stand El Nene. I've got nothing against the guy. I think by all accounts he's a lovely guy. He's got a really good attitude. He's a good team member. But in terms of quality, in terms of the type of player he is, I really am, lost for words in terms of why he's even at Arsenal, let alone getting a start. So for me, he needs to straight away be dropped. And I'd bring Sambi straight into the middle with Partey. On the wings, if we're going with the kind of 4-4-2, it's a difficult one. I would be tempted to start the Haaland boys, Saka and Smith Rowe, but I am very much aware that the games are coming thick and fast. Over the December period. So with Everton being so kind of low on confidence, I do feel this could be a game where I would potentially bring Pepe back in on the right. And I'd probably stick Martinelli on the left. And then up top, I think we've got to go with our best option. And I think right now, despite, Aubameyang firing complete blanks and Laka's future looking, to be away from the club, I think we've got to go with those two up top. I'd rotate the squad. I'd bring back Tierney in. I'd potentially rotate and bring Pepe and Martinelli for Saka and Smith Rowe, and I'd bring the two most experienced forwards up top.
So you're taking out Odegaard and bringing in Lacazette, yeah?
Yeah, taking out Odegaard, bringing in Lacazette, taking out Elneny, bringing in Sambi, and taking out Tavares and bringing KT in.
All right. So quite a few changes there. Before we move on, if you are watching on any of these platforms, Facebook, Twitter, come over to KS1 TV and smash that subscribe button. We've got plenty of star-studded guests coming on soon, and I wouldn't want you to miss out on that. So press that notification as well. Steve, what changes would you make from the Man United game?
Well, 10 minutes after the final whistle in the Man United game, I would have probably changed about 6 of them. But, you know, since then, you know, sitting down, thinking about it, I wouldn't change a lot. I wouldn't change a lot at all. I'd put the majority of them back in. I'd obviously Ramsdale, Ben White, Gabriel and Tommy Asher are givens. I wouldn't bring Tierney in. Reason being, I don't think he deserves to be in, and I don't think Tavares deserves to be dropped over his performances. That's a matter of opinion, and I can see why. I can see the argument from people when they say why Tierney should be brought in, but my personal opinion is that he had a bad game against Liverpool, but then again they all had a bad game against Liverpool, and he made a mistake against Man United. Apart from that, the geezer's been absolute quality. Like, I don't think he's put a foot wrong, so I don't think he should be pulled out yet. If he has another dodgy one against Everton, then maybe so. As far as the midfield goes and the forward line, again, it's a bit like GTalks says. It's sort of, we've just got to go with what we got. I mean, I know Emil Smith-Rowe is carrying a knock, and so maybe they'll think about bringing him out. That I see that just before I come on tonight. As far as the midfield goes, I'd definitely bring the Conga in. Partey's lucky Xhaka's not fit, because otherwise Partey would be out and Xhaka would be in. Right, but on this occasion, Partey plays. And as far as up front goes, again, like GTalk said, you really got to go with what we got. I'd play it a little bit differently. I would bring Martinelli in. I'd play him on the right. I would play Bamiyang down the down the middle, and on the left I would play Saka, because I know he can play there, and that's the team I would go with. But I tell you what, this is, I can't get, over the last few weeks I've been able to get into Mikel Arteta's head and sort of think, yeah, I know what you're going to do, but I'm not too sure. I'm a bit confused what he's going to do, and this one's going to be a difficult one for him.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think everyone was surprised by Elneny's inclusion against Man United. I see potentially why Arteta done it, because he even mentioned it in the press conference afterwards, where he said that Elneny had a really good game against United last year. But what I say to that is the fact that we've moved on from last year. This is not last year's team. We've got a whole bunch of youngsters, and it's kind of, we should be moving away from that. We shouldn't be thinking about players that done well last year against Man United. That's a different team. This is a different team. So I think he kind of shot himself in the foot there. And I think in hindsight, that was probably a mistake from him. Other than that, I think he was kind of let down by some of the more senior players in the Man United game. Jerome, what change would you make from the United game in your lineup?
So yeah, the right back, 2 centre backs, and goalie, they pick themselves, don't they? There's not even like a debate over those 4. With the left back, I don't think this will come into Arteta's thoughts, but I'll say it anyway. I guess Townsend will play on the right for them, and he's left-footed, so he likes to cut inside. And obviously Tavares, he's not both-footed, but he's not too bad on his right, better than Tierney anyway. So that could be something that Arteta thinks about. So that's like a 50-50 one, the Tierney Tavares. I'd be happy with either, to be honest. Centre midfield, yeah, I think Lokonga and Partey will play. I think Odegaard will keep his place, despite obviously giving away that penalty. From the sounds of things, it looks like Smith Rowe won't play. So I think what he'll do is he'll play Martinelli from the left, Saka from the right, and Aubameyang down the middle. I think that's the team he'll play, unless he didn't bring Pepe on because he's rested him for tomorrow night.
Game.
Yeah.
Let's speak a little bit about Pepe before we go. Okay. Personally, I would bring in Kieran Tierney for different reasons. For me, it's not so much a case of Tavares making mistakes. It's his style of play needs adapting. I think in the final third, his decisions are starting to have a little bit of an impact on us when we're potentially breaking forward. I think he needs to be a bit more acute with his final pass. Doesn't always need to go for that shot, or doesn't even need to maybe just get to the byline, cut it back a bit more. I just get frustrated with his I love his attacking mentality, but sometimes it's a bit gung-ho. And I think he just needs to be more composed in that final third. But that's just that will take time. That's not going to happen overnight. But yeah, as Jerome said, it's either or. And I think I'd bring in Kieran Tierney, but having Tavares there isn't that much of a dilemma. It's not too much of a drama, either or for me. Was of that predicted lineup, GT, who would you say the key player would there to be to unlock or help Arsenal keep a clean sheet? Who would you say the key player was?
Well, I think key players in terms of defensively, I think all of them defensively have to be on their game for us to keep a clean sheet. But if I had to kind of pick out a standout player just based on performances this season, I've got to go with Ramsdale and Gabriel. I think those two have been absolutely dominant in that defense. Ramsdale single-handedly, probably earned us half the amount of points we've got with the saves he's pulled off. So Ramsdale and Gabriel for sure. In terms of like our attacking play, key players, I find it really frustrating because I've been quite critical at times of Arteta in that I can see the progress defensively, but I feel like there's just a real imbalance in the side. Defensively, we are making progress. I can see it for my own eyes, but just offensively, there's just a massive over-reliance on the Haaland boys. There's a lack of creativity in midfield. And like I said earlier, we're firing absolute blanks up top. So I find it hard to, in terms of an attacking sense, I find it hard to look beyond Saka and Smith Rowe, to be honest. I think if we're going to win this game, based on what I've seen so far this season, it's going to be because Saka and Smith Rowe are going to have a big influence on the match. I can't really see it coming from anywhere else, which is a massive concern for me.
Yeah. It's a big concern. Do you see us getting in Europe if Aubameyang doesn't switch it on?
Boy, if we're going to at the beginning of the season, I predicted and I expected us to finish. I saw us finishing between 5th and 6th as a success. I think anything lower than that should be deemed a failure. And I thought anything above 5th was just not realistic. But obviously that's somewhat changed with the form of Spurs and Manchester United, etc. In terms of, we played what, 14 games, 24 odd games left to go. If we don't start finding goals and Aubameyang don't hit form and we don't address that in January, which I don't think we will, I think we will wait to the summer, then I think we're really going to struggle to make top 6.
Yeah, it is a bit of a worry. Steve, who would you say the key player is for tomorrow?
Key player. I think when you play away from home, I think the most important place is the midfield. It's where the game's won or lost. If your midfield can't get it together away from home, you're done. The game's over. I said against Manchester United that Partey was my key player and he had to have a good game. Well, we see what type of game he had. And the midfield, we lost the midfield battle. I think I'm putting my money on the table. I'm asking the question of him again. Thomas Partey, you've got to have a good game. If he if he can win that midfield, then we'll win the game. 100%. If we come back on here, excuse me, at 10 o'clock or 10:15 on tomorrow night, and Thomas Partey's had a good game, we would have won the game. Mm-hmm. I've got no doubt about that. But the chances of that, the way he's been playing at the moment, is virtually nil. But that still don't take away the fact that he's got to have a good game. So for me, it's Thomas Partey again. The same as against Man United. I'm giving him another challenge. I gave you the challenge against Man United. You failed it. Now I'm giving you another challenge against Everton. I think I keep saying it because every time I say it, I want to be able to come on and say, I told you so. Thomas Partey's getting back to form again. Like he played against Tottenham. With me and now the good players, the players who have got it and don't do it, pee me off. Yeah, because that means there's something they're not trying. I can give it with our average players or players that ain't nearly well or or just learning the game. I can get away like Tavares. I can take mistakes from him. I won't be on his back. But players like Aubameyang and Partey, I'm not having it. And they seem to think that they can get away with things. But this is going very long-winded. But I want him so much to have a good game against Everton. So I'm going to say Thomas Partey.
All right, key player for Steve is Thomas Partey. Jerome, who's integral for Arsenal to get a victory tomorrow?
Probably the young wide boys. Probably I think Saka and Martinelli will play. So I think those boys they'll be key. It'll be interesting to see if Lokonga does come back into it, how he plays. Obviously, he's been sat down for a game. See how he responds to that. But going forward, we need Saka and Martinelli. That would be the key players for me.
All right. GTalks score prediction.
When I look at this game on paper, I'm thinking to myself, it should be a comfortable win, but it never works out like that with Arsenal. So I'm going to go 1-0 Arsenal. I think we'll scrape it.
I would take that now. I would take a scrapey, scrappy 1-0 win. I just want the points, man. I don't really care. I just want points. Steve, score predictions.
Yeah, again, it's I'm not very confident at this moment in time. Whether by the time the kickoff comes, I'll have a different frame of mind. I don't know, or maybe it's too early after the Man United game. I'm a little bit worried. I'm going to go 1-1.
All right, Steve's going for a 1-1. And Jerome, what's your score prediction?
I'm worried as well. Definitely not confident, but I'll go for 2-1 Arsenal. Not based on us playing well, but just how poor Everton are at the moment. And I think hopefully we'll be able to exploit some of their weaknesses and win the game. So 2-1 I'll go for.
All right then. All right. Yep. So GT's gone for a 1-0 victory, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Steve's gone for a 1-1 draw, and Jerome has gone for a 2-1 win. I see Johnny's asked a question quickly before we go. You can all answer this. GT, do you think the Premier League is too fast for Partey?
Boy, you know what? The Premier League is a different animal, that's for sure. We've seen many a good player, come to the Premier League and not necessarily, deliver what we expected, both at Arsenal and other teams. I don't know is the honest question. I don't know. It's definitely obviously faster than it is in La Liga. And I saw him, put in dominant after dominant display for Atletico Madrid. And I really saw him being the man to come and do that at Arsenal. And it's not quite happened. Well, it at least hasn't happened consistently. So yeah, I think there could be some truth in that. But in all honesty, I just don't know. I think a player of his quality should be able to adapt. And he has had now, I think, long enough to actually adapt to the Premier League. So I'm not too sure. It's the honest response.
All right, cool. Steve, what's your thoughts on that?
I thought it back last season. I think I brought up the question because I think when we played Spurs last question, he was so slow and was getting caught on the ball. And when we've gone into this season, we've often wondered, he gets closed down very easily. And hence what happens, his passes go astray because people are on him so quick. And it's like he's not used to it. In the league, he's used to getting the ball, pulling it down, looking up and passing it, and his passes are straight. Yeah, he can pick his balls to wherever they want to go. And you look good in La Liga, but in this league, you've got to be quick, you've got to be fast. And he's a big lump. For a centre midfield player, he's a big lump. Normally, they ain't that size. If you go through the other midfield players, through the Premiership, all right, there's a bit about him, but he's a big boy. And yeah, I think John's got a point. And I must admit, I've felt that for a long while. It's not the first time that it's, that I thought that it could be now that this league's just not for Thomas Partey, and that maybe the La Liga is good for him because that's a good, the fact that his passes are astray and the fact that he's very rash on the ball, that could tell you a lot about the two different leagues.
Jerome, what's your thoughts? Do you think that the Premier League is too fast for Partey?
It's a great question. I don't think the league's too fast for him. I think that he's got what we've seen from him since he's come to Arsenal. He's definitely got the ability and the attributes to play in this league. It's not as if he's come in and he's a slouch and he can't get out of first gear. We've seen him have some unbelievable, not matches, but some unbelievable displays from him within matches where he's looked like a world-class centre midfielder. So I don't think the league's too quick for him. I just think maybe he just needs to maybe adapt part of his game, or he just needs to be on it, I think, the whole time. And if he's on it the whole time, I'm more than comfortable with that Thomas Partey in the midfield. It's like these sloppy, like the other night, he done a couple of sloppy balls that you looked at it and you thought, what's going on here? Like, how's he played that pass? And I don't think that's because of the speed of it, but yeah, he's got the ability. There's definitely something not quite right. I think we can all see that, but I wouldn't say the league's too quick for him.
I think he's got the ability when he's got space. When he's got the space, you'll see him do a beautiful 30-yard ball, or you'll see him running, through two or three players. It just seems to me that when he's closed down or when he's not given the space, he's just not the player that we see. But it's like you say, like with Jerome just said, there's moments in games where he does the business and he looks world class. Well, maybe that's because he's at that particular time he's picking up the ball in space.
Yeah, but what I'd say onto that, I'd say, why isn't he creating his own space in them times when he is getting closed down? Why is he not looking behind? Why is he not moving into position where he is free? Why is it when we're talking about professional footballers here, and in general, you don't see professional footballers, if they was to receive the ball, to know that there's a man behind them, to then pop that ball straight away. I see that in Saturday league semi-professional. So to see a professional footballer, I just think it's sloppiness, it's sharpness. Like I see him not pass a 5-yard ball to someone, like no pressure. Unforced errors is the one that grinds my gears the most, and Thomas Partey is the one who does it the most, and that's what frustrates me the most.
What you're saying is worse.
No, it is. It is.
It's worse.
And he can't do a 5-yard pass. That's the thing. It's driving me mad. That's the thing, because if you look at our goal to equalise, Thomas Partey's dropped a great ball through to the edge of the area, a brilliant ball through. So how have we got Thomas Partey in the first half, who's like giving all of this, doing spins on the ball, and it's 20 miles in front of him, and he's having to dive in to get it, and in the second half he's spraying balls left, right, and centre. We can't have that disparity in quality. You have to be consistent. You can't be classed as a top draw, top world-class midfielder if you've got them inconsistencies in your game. You're just bang average. And he's not bang average. He's got more than that in his locker. So I don't think it's a good question. Very good question. Yeah. I think it's the... Go on.
I think the one thing like that I've seen from him when he was at Atletico Madrid, and I've seen evidence of it when he's been at Arsenal as well, is just that ability to beat a man and drive forward. Yeah. Drive the ball, 10 yards, 20 yards
between the lines,
But I've seen it in an Arsenal shirt, but I've just not seen it consistently enough.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of split. I can definitely see where John's coming from in terms of the question. I can somewhat agree with Steve, but I also agree with Jerome in that I can see the ability he's got, and I just think a player, Premier League is fast, but a player of his ability has to be able to adapt.
I think everybody can see his ability. Everybody knows what he's got. There's no argument there. No argument at all that we all know that he's an incredible player on his day. But why is he not a critic? Why is he not? Because he's been less than 50% for me. I mean, I just, he's nowhere near the player he was at Madrid. So I want to know if I was in the room with him, I'd be saying, Thomas, what's happened to you, mate? Yeah. What's happened to you? I used to watch you when you was at Madrid and you were smashing it. You've come here and you're half the player. What's wrong? What's the problem? What's going on?
Yeah,
I would love to know what his answer would be.
Yeah, I was absolutely ecstatic when we matched that release. Like literally, I thought that was it. I thought we'd finally got that commanding, dominant centre mid that we've been longing for.
Yeah, and it's just not quite happened. Well, hopefully, Steve's key player comes to fruition tomorrow, and Thomas Partey gets man the match and gets that goal.
Pray.
All right, fingers crossed, because we all want to see Thomas Partey, because there's another player in the team that if he ticks, I think we'll all tick. That is all we have time for. Thank you very much for joining us today, GT.
No problem at all, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on. Really enjoyed it, man.
We'd definitely love to have you on again.
Brilliant. Thank you.
And do you want to let everyone know where they can find you as well?
Yeah, so basically you can find me on Twitter at GTalks Arsenal, and most of the kind of Arsenal content I put out there is on Cannon Chatter TV. Give me a follow. Go and check what we're doing on YouTube, and that's about it.
All right, sweet. Thanks for joining us today, Steve.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you.
No, and thanks for joining us today, Jerome.
Yeah, of course, pleasure. Cheers.
All right, and of course, the comment section, we got Glenn 10 in there, we got Johnny in there, and a Facebook user who has not changed his settings. Change his settings so we can see who you are. Don't be shy. All right. Thanks very much for joining us, people. Peace out, stay safe, and wash your hands.